Hi there, I'm here with Steve Hoover. Steve, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I've been in solar now for 15 years and started off a little mortgage company way back when selling solar to its mortgage customers. Today, that company is GoodLeap and eventually ended up running the two largest privately held solar companies in the country. And today, I own a coaching and consulting company, and we help contractors build better sales processes and better sales teams.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for joining today. And we're living in some exciting times, right? We saw some tariffs hit the market, right? And we've seen some uh, ITC possibly going away this year, right? And we see a little bit of panic in the market, right? What have you seen, Steve?
Gosh, so funny. Like I said, I've been in here for 15 years. And so it's almost nothing new to me. I don't know if I'm like just numb to it at this point, but seems like there's always this chaos that kind of exists within solar. And funny enough, it's always looking backwards, it's those times that really grew me as a person, and the companies that stuck it out and succeeded turned out to be the big companies for kind of the next stage. And so I view this really as that same kind of wave and opportunity. And it'll be interesting to see who makes it through. And I think it's going to be the companies that adapt, that realize the market's changing, specifically companies that diversify and become a more holistic contractor. I think is going to be really the wave of the next generation here.
Yeah, Steve, I wholeheartedly agree on that as far as that concerns the diversification and also streamlining their business, right? Making sure the business is efficient as possible and maybe even think about lowering commissions and being able to bring sales inside, having control of the message. And to make sure that that their company doesn't get involved in any litigious lawsuits or even get a bad reputation, right? Because reputation is everything, and I'm sure with your experience, you know that reputation is everything. What have you experienced when it comes to that?
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned bringing sales in house. It's like you're looking at my calendar. I mean, there's so many companies today. They're tired of the red line model. They're tired of not having control over what sales teams are saying, what customers are hearing, and just ultimately don't have control over their reputation, which is a scary thing. So, it's funny, like, there's a lot of great contractors out there, and, I'm very fortunate to work with a lot of them as well. And if you have 500 5-star reviews on your Google page, you can almost do whatever you want, right? And you don't have to again, be just a solar contractor. You can be just a great contractor as a whole. So I think that reputation, maybe now more than ever, is becoming a big focus. And again, if you don't have control over your processes, over your sales team, you're not watching those things and paying a lot of attention to it, it can get real scary in a hurry. And again, those are going to be the companies that I think are going to struggle here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see that markets like Australia can sell solar for about $1 a watt, right? And then here, there was that red line models at just over, $2 a watt, and then whatever's on top of that, the salesperson gets, right? And and we've seen, companies, tank because of that red line model, and
Yeah.
also with their reputation as well. Because when there's bad reviews, then homeowners don't trust that company, and then their salespeople can't sell, right? So it's just a vicious cycle. So keeping up with that reputation, and I think another way that contractors can really diversify is to work on the systems that they didn't install, where the contractor might have went out of business. Go out and do detach and reset jobs. Really work with insurance companies that are doing re-roofs with solar. That's another way to be able to do that. Another way is to be that regional player that's all things solar, right, and electrical related, right, and roofing.
Yep.
So being able to do that is gonna help that homeowner that you might not have even had on your radar, right? and be able to, like, if they're sitting at a barbecue with their family and friends and they say, hey, I got a problem with my roof, or I got a problem with my HVAC, or are you on my solar? The first name that pops up is going to be your company. And then that's going to help you to be able to get even more referrals and business in the future. Not only helping your company, but helping the industry as a whole. Because really, when it comes down to it, the number one reason why a homeowner will do business with a contractor, according to an Energy Sage survey that was taken in Q4, is trust. And then followed by quality. Price is number 9. So selling on value and selling on trust is so much easier and better than trying to be the lowest guy on the street.
It's again, it's funny. It's almost like you're in my head right now. So there's I had a conversation this morning with a guy, and he owns pretty big firm. They're in 13 states, and they're crushing it on just remediation work, picking up the pieces for contractors that went out of business. And our conversation was about how do we expand on that? So we have all these solar customers that we're going in and we're doing good work for, and we're like the hero that gets to save the day. And how can we expand on those relationships? I know for a lot of people that probably, would watch this, it's like leads are getting harder to get. That good customer is harder to get, right? Like the guy that has the $1,000 a month power bill that is on a perfect comp roof, he's already gone solar. And so if you can figure out a way to get back in front of that guy and now get him an HVAC system, be able to, get him a re-roof, it's tremendous opportunity there. So like I said, it's funny that you mentioned it because it was literally a call I was on just a couple hours ago, going through the exact same situation. But he's doing great. Like he's got an awesome business. He's probably got more work than he could ever handle just on the remediation repair side. And now he's trying to figure out how to turn those relationships into more money.
Yeah.
Which is smart. So
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking with a contractor in Hawaii, and he started going out working on other people's systems, right? They have what happens in Hawaii happens start to happen in California. They're one of the most mature markets in the country. And he said about 30% of those repairs that he does turns into like an energy audit, and he's able to uh, the system isn't big enough for that homeowner now. They need a battery. They need an EV charger. They need a roof. So that's just a whole other way to be able to make sure that you become that regional player. All things construction related, as far as within your license and within your means. So what you can do and what your company can do is going to help you to thrive no matter what kind of market conditions that we have, because you're in multiple markets and multiple things that people need that are essential in a home.
yeah, when you can go in and help somebody, I mean, that's why we all got in this business to begin with, right? Was to go, hopefully it's why people got in the business, but to just go help people and do good in your community. And when you have somebody that needs repair work, they put a lot of money into these things. Solar's not cheap. And if you can go in and help them and do good and be that great savior at the end of the day that says, hey, we're here to help you and save the day, um, you've overcome all the big hurdles that marketing is all about. You've got trust, you've got need, you've got a relationship now, and it's a very, very smart way to go about it. So I totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Another way I was thinking of homeowner or contractors being able to streamline their business is the use of AI. We've got to go to help reduce expenses and reduce the overall cost of what it would take to do business. Finding different ways when it comes to AI, when maybe a chat bot. So like it's always going to be there and available for someone who comes on the website, making sure that your technology is there to be able to take care of our homeowners, our customers' needs. Obviously the human touch is always the best. All right. But if you've got to be able to streamline your business, utilizing that in those ways, and in inbound leads, and also when you're doing your processes through different stages of the project, it makes it a lot better and easier and smoother. And They don't call in sick, right? So it really helps. So as long as it's all trained right and, embrace the technology and make sure that, obviously test it out, make sure it works, but for you and is trained the right way, it's your competitors are doing it. So you might as well embrace it now. What are your thoughts on AI, Steve?
Gosh, I mean, AI is changing the world. It's incredible. I think that you do have to be careful to make sure that you don't lose that human touch. And, so much of what we buy as people is through emotion. It's for people that we like, we trust. It's products that make us feel good and feel a certain way. And AI still struggles with that. At least I think so. But there's so many great use cases for AI, and just some that come to my head are chatbots on websites are great ones. And we almost expect it now, right? Like when I go chat with something, I expect to get an answer pretty quick and kind of be routed in the right place. And when there's that long lag and somebody's typing, I'm almost like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. And so our attention span's getting shorter and shorter on the chat side. I've seen a lot of great use cases for inbound calls, like you said, especially after hours calls. So no more having to pay a third party to man your call center after the fact for that. Somebody has an emergency, they got a roof leak at 1 a.m. They can call in, talk to your AI agent, book an appointment, get on the service calendar, things like that. And then obviously the creative side, AI is amazing for helping create ideas and flaws and processes and just organize thoughts. So, I think we'll still see how it's rolled out, what the limits of it are, but every business should be figuring out ways to play with it today. And then it's amazing when you kind of start dabbling in it, where the creativity goes and all the different areas that you find out that you end up using it. So
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I was thinking on helping streamline a business is on the tech stack of a company, like checking, do we really need this amount of licenses for every single software, right? Going through, did
yeah,
somebody leave the company and we're still paying for that license? The other thing is, do we really need like 7 different apps or 10 different apps? And some of them do overlapping things. So really looking at the software stack, really helping streamline what you're doing. Is it really useful? Do we really need it, right? To be able to function as a company, right? Because we have apps for lead gen to sales, right? And then we have pre-construction, construction, post-construction, right? And PTO and after PTO, right? So there's so many things. Service app that can make a company kind of like flogged up with lots of invoices, right? That and cost.
yep.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Steve?
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, there's just so many areas that you can use it in. We One of the fun exercises we'll do with our clients when we're doing one-on-one work with them is go through and use it to help us identify priorities and basically explain like, hey, here's the challenges that we're suffering with today. Here's the software tools that we already have available to us. Um, Help us come up with a plan to solve the problem that we're after without needing any more software to do it. And it's interesting to see the answers that kick out as a result of that. And sometimes the answer is you don't have the right tools in place. And other times it's like, hey, you're already paying for this thing and you're just not using it. I don't know about, I mean, Dean, I'm sure you do the same thing where we all have these things that we pay up for and there's like 1,000 different features on it. We use like two and we forget the other 998 exist. And AI is awesome. It doesn't forget. I will add too, AI for consumers is becoming a big deal. Like I find myself using Google a lot less. And, I was vetting out a vendor for one of my clients the other day. And while we're in the meeting, I go to Chat GPT and I was like, please find me everything you can and give me an opinion on this vendor. They had to be happen to be an SEO vendor. And ChatGPT is brutal. It's not biased. It's like every negative thing they could find, they pulled out. They're like, you may want to consider this and this and this and this and this. And it was like having the ultimate research assistant instantly available to me to say, here's the summary of what all of what the internet says about this SEO company. And so I think for contractors especially, it's like instead of just paying attention to that Google review, and you're like, yeah, people on Facebook hate me. I don't need to worry about that though. I'm just gonna tell everyone to go to Google and check my Google reviews. You're not gonna be able to hide in those kind of pockets anymore. And managing your reputation across the web, I think, is gonna become maybe the next big thing that we start to see, where it's like, again, this one company was so funny. They had like whole Reddit boards dedicated to people's hatred of them on Reddit. And, you know, I never probably would have found that if I was just Googling for them. But ChatGPT seeked it out and found it and put it right in front of me and said, "Hey, just so you're aware, there's like 300 people that hate these guys on Reddit, and here you go." And yeah, I could see that becoming a very big thing here over the next year or so. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to get back to the W-2 employee for
Mhm.
the salespeople because in Utah and Nevada, there's some regulations that came out May 9th here in Utah, where I'm from, and where all all that are soliciting the value of solar will have to be a W-2 employee, and there cannot be any other types of 1099 income. You can not there's no working around of like just paying like a little bit W-2 income, like 10,000 a year, and then everything else is 1099. It's got
Right.
to be full compensation that
Mhm.
way. And we're probably going to see some, more regulations around this across the country for consumer protection, right? And what are your thoughts, like for forward-thinking contractors? What should they be thinking about doing right now to hedge that?
Gosh, that's a great question. So I've actually worked in both worlds, and they are different. Like, they're vastly different. And so the way that you manage W-2, the legalities behind a W-2 are tremendously different than a 1099 independent contractor. And so you have to get ready for that. I think it is almost as much cultural as it is like real systems and logistics and contracts and like legal stuff. And so you have to do that now. You can't just pivot. It's very difficult to pivot that on all those aspects, all at once and all behind the eight ball. And I will say, Dean, that like what's been great about solar is there's a lot of change, but there's not a lot of like instant surprises. So Hawaii is a great example. You brought up Hawaii earlier. And I remember when NEM2 changed in California, and we also happened to sell in Hawaii. And you could look at Hawaii and see what was going to happen for NEM3. It was like eventually they're going to stop allowing power to come back to the grid and everyone's going to have a battery. And you just got in front of it. Like we saw that coming. And so you see what's happening today with W2 in, like you said, Utah is certainly one of those states. It's gonna happen. Like, more states are gonna have that happen. And so if you're a 1099 only org today, and you're worried that someday you may become a W-2 state, you need to start changing that now and start wrapping your head around payroll software, like real commission plans that are legal and legit commission structures, W-2 management, fair hiring practices, fair termination practices. Like, there's a lot of HR-ish work that has to go into W-2 that your culture and your company may not be accustomed to managing to, right? And so I'd say it's not really an easy thing to pivot all of a sudden. Oh, now we're all W-2. Um, it is something you have to get ready for. So I would say that you kind of treat Utah as like a warning shot. And again, I forget the other state that
It's Nevada.
Nevada. Yeah, yeah. There you go. Um, like, it's coming. California is already clamping down on 1099 versus W-2. I could easily see them putting protections in place for that. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Texas and Florida and Minnesota do those same kind of things. And so, just overall in solar, like, if we know change is coming, we know it's inevitable, it's been happening for 15 years, you can either sit around in your hands waiting for it to hit you hard and put you out of business, or you can start proactively thinking about how am I going to deal with this and get in front of it. And those are the companies that tend to do best, is the ones that are like, I hope everybody goes W-2 because my whole guys are W-2, and I'm already here and I'm not worried about it, you know? And so, yeah, I think that's the attitude to take. It's just start getting ready for it. And, sorry, not to keep ranting here, Dean, but if you've never worked in a W-2 environment, which there's actually a lot of people that have only worked 1099, you need to bring somebody in that can help you do that and look at it with you because, it is a different environment overall than what you're accustomed to, and it's really difficult to build something properly if you've never experienced it and lived it and seen it yourself, before. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And I also, with this recent change, some companies had to like lay off like stop selling for a while because it did come up pretty quick, and they had to restructure and then like hire everyone back that wanted to come back, right? And it really disrupted the business of the business. And really, if you don't get ahead of it and you wait, then that's going to be an issue. And it's the most successful companies are the strong regional players, that we all know. We can probably name off 10 in our head of great regional players that have a vertically integrated company that it's all in house, right? And these guys aren't the ones that are out there trying to like set the world on fire, but they are consistent day in, day out, and they are growing. And they are the ones that are going to lead and the ones that are going to grow over the next 5 years. It's not going to be the national players. It's going to be those local companies that are going to that really pay attention to the business of the business and put the protections in place for them to be successful for the future.
yeah, I mean, solar's a tough business. You got regulation. I mean, regulation's just crazy, and it's so different for everywhere. And, I've probably sold in, I don't know, 25 states at this point. They're all different. And Dean, you're in a bunch of states too. Like you get to work and operate. They're all unique. The clientele is unique. The jurisdictions are unique. Financing's unique. And so it is really friggin' hard to do all of that well. And it's really expensive to do it all well. Whereas if you just say, hey, I want to be the greatest contractor in Dallas, there is a ton of business in Dallas. Go be the best contractor you can be in Dallas or Illinois or Indiana or, there's great places everywhere. And funny enough, those guys aren't struggling. Like, those are the conversations I have about growth and adding new products and growing the company as opposed to, how do we contract and how do we scale this down and how do we pull in cost and how do we do all these other things? It's very easy to get over your skis in a hurry if you kind of are motivated just by these vanity metrics of I need to be in 17 states. And it's like, no, you don't. Like just be great at one. And I think you'll have a better business at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Talk about being over your head in your skis. I hold a networking group, Solar Slopes, every month here in Utah. And I bring in like suppliers, software people, contractors in roofing, solar, and ancillary services for solar contractors. And we talk about collaborating and what are the best practices that we can do and how can we get through these things. So I think, working with like-minded people and putting away that competitor hat, right? And working together is going to build a better solar future, a better business for your company, your family, and your employees, and really keep things a lot more stable. And wouldn't you agree that collaboration within the industry with like-minded people is a great way to
I mean,
survive?
I do it all the time, and I'm very blessed to have worked with some great and amazing people that have gone on to do some really great things. And God, I honestly I don't know how you could do it otherwise than to network and then to talk to other people that are out there learning. Because there are so many things that change. Just think about what we just talked about. You've got AI, which that's a job in and of itself to keep up with AI. You've got changing regulations and market conditions, which is a whole nother thing all in and of itself. You've got trying to keep your business afloat and sell and grow and scale and do those things. You've got permits and regulations. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you have so much to know that if you're not tapped into people that I have a very good friend of mine. He loves policy. Now, I don't care about policy. I'm not a policy guy. It bores the hell out of me, but he loves it. He's like on every consumer protection meeting. He eats it up. And anytime I need like this quick and dirty version of what's happening, I can just call him and get kind of the layman's version of what's happening without having to sit on hours of meetings. Um, I love sales process. That's what gets me out of bed every day. And so I have friends that call me like, Steve, how do I deal with sales stages and tracking and making sure my sales reps aren't stealing from me? And I eat that stuff up. Um, and again, you have to have people in your network that you can lean on that know these things and that deal with it. And they thrive being asked those kinds of questions. So yeah, I don't know how you could do it without leaning on your network and networking
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love that. So I'm going to ask one more thing here. You mentioned a little bit about net metering changes, and we saw what happened in net metering 3.0. We saw people sell oof, like 2 years worth of installs in 1 year or in several months, right? And some of them failed to install half of those, right? And they went out of business and left homeowners in the lurch. And they also did some succeeded, and others they they fell even before net metering changed, right?
Yeah.
So and we're still seeing fallout. I was talking with a representative of a manufacturer. He used to work for a solar company in San Diego, and he said he's still getting commission checks from before net metering 3 changed because those systems are still kind of trickling in and getting installed because of permitting and transformer issues. So we saw what happened then. Do you think the industry learned from that? And when it comes to this ITC cliff that we might be seeing here coming up at the end of the year?
Gosh, I hope so. I would say that the good people that have been around it and lived through that, uh, I think most of them learned. And, that was a beast of a project. I mean, that if you remember, and, I'm sure you remember it too, where it was like November and December were kinda like, "Okay," and then January hit, and it was like everyone came out of hibernation. January, February, March, and it was just boom, 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 and that's I don't know if you ever seen the show Bar Rescue. Have you ever seen Bar Rescue? And they do this stress test, and they're like, "We're just gonna flood the bar with customers and see what breaks." And that was Solar's stress test, was like, who can handle this and who can't? And a lot of companies broke. Like they couldn't build it, they couldn't contract it, they didn't have any control over their sales team. They didn't know who was saying what promises were getting made. And it will put you out of business real fast if you don't have any of those things together. So I hope that everybody's paying attention to what's happening. I would also say that we just got to do a good job as an industry. If you're out there, if you own a solar company and you're on the news saying that solar makes no sense in the world without the tax credit and you're going to go out of business if the tax credit fails, you are not helping anybody. Okay. Like solar makes sense in many, many cases. Um, you know, and so we can't be our own worst enemy doing that kind of stuff. Um, so I would just say, watch it carefully. We got to all plan and work together, set good expectations with homeowners. Obviously, the tax credit's a good thing, and people should take advantage of it while it's here. But don't light your house on fire worrying about a tax credit expiring at the end of the year. Just be smart and take steps. If you're really that worried about it, take steps to diversify yourself and protect your business and use it as an opportunity to be that company that rides out the storm. Um, and I think you'll be okay. But if you create a bunch of short-term mindset in your company and you just try and burn everything down from here to the end of the year, you're probably going to burn your whole house down and not have a business next year.
Yeah,
Um, I guess
exactly.
that would be how I feel.
Because what's going to happen in the first 60 days of next year? Everyone's going to say, I'm too late. I should have bought last year. You told me I should have bought, and it's too late. I shouldn't go solar. It's not worth it. Right. And we've seen that happen with sunsetting. I remember net metering 2 changed here in California, and net metering changes here in Utah and other markets. It happens. It's going to continue to happen. There will be no net metering, and net metering's been subsidizing solar too, but it's still people are still buying solar and batteries, and it's costing them more than what it costs them now for energy. Because why? They get more. they they actually have a backup, or they can arbitrage, and they feel more independent, and they're able to be able to have more control, right? And all of that just equals success for not only the homeowner, the business, our industry, right? So just got to keep that going. And again, I think last thought here from me is being able to collaborate with other industry experts is very important. Like Steve, and talk to your suppliers, talk to your manufacturers, your lenders. We just saw, lenders, freeze funding. We saw a big TPO provider file for bankruptcy. We definitely are seeing, other stresses in the industry among manufacturers. So really just diversify that too, right? Look for zero or low interest dealer fees, right? Low dealer fee loans or no dealer fee loans, and work with companies that can help you reduce your cost stack altogether, and you're going to get through this. And if the tax credit is still here, you're going to be profitable, right? You're going to be even more profitable than all your competitors. So you might as well start doing it now anyway.
Yeah, I mean, instead of being one of those people that's freaking out and doing nothing, like, go do something about it. Like you said, diversify your finance options, diversify your product lines, build that moat around your business so that if a single point of failure can't take you out, right? You're like, hey, this lender's having problems. No biggie. I've got a stable of lenders that I can work with. This product's having problems. No biggie. I've got a stable of products I can work with. A lot of these guys know how to build great companies and build great teams and have great companies and have great teams. But, we just have to be forward thinking about it a little bit. So, like I said, we've been in this a long time. Change is something that's been here every year. Even if this bill gets shot down and nothing changes, next year there will be something. And you just have to be able to adapt and change with it. And if you can do that, you'll be one of those companies that makes it long term, and plays that game for a long time.
All right, Steve, how could people get in touch with you?
Yeah, check out BillionDollarContractor.com. That's our main website here. I also do a lot of activity on LinkedIn, and I love just talking with sales folks. So hit me up on LinkedIn. Let me know what challenges you're running into, and I'd love to just talk sales.
All right, awesome. Dean Chiaravallotti here. Glad to be able to be here with you, Steve, and look forward to talking to you again soon. And you're definitely talking to if you talk to Steve, you're talking to an industry expert. So reach out to Steve.
Appreciate it, Dean. Thanks for having me, buddy.